All right, I am just gonna get started, if that sounds great with you, Danielle and Derek. Okay. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All students, sponsored by the Ohio Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at oacac.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website, which is oacac.org. So now I'm going to turn it over to our presenters. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pop off of here.
Great. Well, hello and welcome, everyone. I am Danielle Nesper, and I am an Assistant Director of Admissions at Allegheny College. I do work with mainly Ohio students from the Columbus and Cincinnati area. And before we get started on our presentation, I'll let my co-host introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Saar. I'm also one of the Ohio admissions counselors with Danielle. But in addition to being an admissions counselor, I'm also a recent graduate of Allegheny College. So excited to bring the student perspective to you all today.
So we will get started, and let me share my screen here. All right, so some quick background about Allegheny College. Allegheny was founded in 1815, which makes us the 32nd oldest college in the nation. We are located in Meadville, Pennsylvania. If you are familiar with your PA geography, that is in the northwest corner of PA. So in Ohio, we are about 2 hours east of Cleveland. We have on campus 1,800 students currently with an 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio. We are a smaller private liberal arts institution, so we really pride ourselves on keeping our class sizes down. So on average, classes are about 18. Just this year, we did achieve carbon neutrality, which we're very, very excited about. This makes us the 8th college in the nation to achieve this and the first in Pennsylvania. For those that are just starting their college search, a really good tool and something that gives a little bit more background about Allegheny is Colleges That Change Lives. We are the first chapter in it, and it just gives an idea of what Allegheny can offer its students. In addition to that, on campus, we have 47 states represented, with the top ones being Ohio, PA, New York, Virginia, Texas, Florida, California, and then of course 70 countries. Something I really like about working at Allegheny is you are going to get to meet people from all different walks of life, from all different backgrounds. So you're not just in the classroom with people of similar situations or backgrounds or ideas, so you're really going to get to expand and explore and really discuss new things while on campus. So at this point, I am going to turn it over to my co-host Derek, and he can tell you a little bit about the Allegheny experience and what he got to do as a student.
Hi, everyone. So a couple things that distinguish Allegheny. I'm going to tell you about how we set up our major-minor combinations, student research, and all sorts of other co-curricular and extracurricular experiences. And I'm going to do that just by highlighting kind of my own experience here at Allegheny. And I'm happy to say that I got to do a little bit of everything that we do at Allegheny. So Danielle, if you want to take us to that next slide. Great. So right off the bat, one of the things that's really going to set Allegheny apart from any other liberal arts college that you might be looking at is the fact that we actually have a major minor requirement built into our curriculum. And so this means that every student who comes to study at Allegheny has a major and a minor in 2 different areas of study. And this is required at Allegheny. The idea here is that we want you to think not only deeply, but broadly, and we want you to be able to approach different and unique problems from different perspectives. And the idea is that we want you to kind of bring your own spin to that. And so we ask students to explore when they first get to campus, but by the end of their sophomore year, we hope that they kind of declare themselves twice with a major in one area and a minor in another. So In my own case, I was a double major in philosophy in the humanities category and political science in the social sciences category. But the way this really works is totally up to you. We hope that you come to campus and quickly get engaged with stuff that you are passionate about, be it anything from the humanities, social sciences, or natural sciences. And then you find a way to bring them together on campus. So some of you might be asking, well, can't I double major in, say, chemistry and computer science? You can, but since they're both natural sciences, you have to find another way to just satisfy our curriculum requirement here. So that would mean adding a minor in another area. Just for example, let's say like economics in the social sciences. And then if you see the blue circle here, this is our interdivisional category of majors. This is kind of unique and special to us. These programs, they're already doing what we're asking you to do via the major minor distribution requirement. These programs are already interdisciplinary. They're already bringing different ways of thinking to the table in the fundamental problems that they're even looking at. So if you wanted to, you could actually just say have a major and a minor in two interdivisional areas of study. But like I said, I was a double major in philosophy and political science. Danielle, do you want to take us to the next slide? Great. So in addition to that, I also had some other really cool experiences here at Allegheny. One of them is common to all students. The other kind of main defining characteristic of your academic experience here at Allegheny is a senior research project. Now, every student at Allegheny does one of these. It's self-designed, of course, with some guidance. And the main idea is that you relate a problem that you're passionate about or that you're excited about to what you've been studying throughout your time here. And instead of calling it, say, an undergraduate thesis, at Allegheny, we affectionately call it the senior comp or the senior comprehensive project. In some cases, you know, we just don't throw people to the wolves here. You know, coming up on a large senior project at the end of your 4-year experience can be kind of intimidating. So we have a setup in place that prepares students to go through this process, and we call it our seminar series. And so if the major minor requirements are the first half of what characterizes how we do academics at Allegheny, the seminar series is the second half. And basically it's a sequence of classes that kind of satisfies the other half of our core curriculum at Allegheny. They start off kind of broad base. They're designed to get you thinking in different ways and make sure that you're reading, writing, speaking, and thinking at the high college level at the rigor that a school like Allegheny requires. At first, they're, you know, all sorts of different ranging topics. So you take one in your first year, and the topics are so wide ranging, from the politics of punk rock to the biology of Shakespeare. You'll definitely find one that interests you. And then the person who actually teaches that first course is your first year advisor. So this seminar series and this pathway to research are intertwined with advising here at Allegheny. So that professor that teaches that first class is going to be responsible, they're kind of be your first mentor here at Allegheny. Just responsible for shepherding you along, making sure that you're adjusting to college well, making sure that you're finding the right connections and finding your people. And then in your second year, you'll take your second year seminar. It's a little bit more discipline focused. This is around the time that we would be asking you to officially declare your major and minor combination. And so you'll take one that's much more directly related to specific research focuses that you might be interested in. And you'll start thinking about, you know, why do historians, for example, ask the questions that they do, and what are the characteristics of history research versus psychology research, and how might they intersect and cross over, so that you can have a better idea of what it might be like to be a major in that field. And then the last seminar is in your third year, and it's where you're working really closely with a professor to see how they do their own research, and they model it for you, and they give you a really strong survey of some of the key areas in the major fields of research that you're interested in, so that you're prepared in your senior year to go out and actually create your own senior comp, and so that you feel comfortable doing it, and so you just don't go off the rails. And that support system is baked in the whole way through our curriculum. Also, I would say that, in addition to this research experience, which is totally characteristic of the Allegheny academic experience, a lot of other students find many other ways to get involved with undergraduate research. I myself had like 3 different paid research fellowships while I was here as a student. So in philosophy and political science, I was actually studying memorial ethics, and I stayed on campus. We have a great program run through Allegheny. I think it's one of the reasons that we were recently declared one of the #1 undergraduate research colleges in the country. It's a great summer program where we actually have students from every single major represented on campus doing research over the summer. Students just really get to engage in their passions and in their interests, and bring them together in all sorts of unique ways. So that summer program is actually run through our Gateway. And so our Gateway is basically our hub for all of our like co-curricular activities and co-curricular offices. So it holds the office of career education, international education, ERSCA, which is our undergraduate research scholarship and creative activities office. They're responsible for organizing our summer research programming. But I also had some really cool experiences with the International Education Office. I got to study abroad a lot, which is a really rewarding experience at Allegheny. They do a fantastic job at making it very accessible. So I studied abroad in England, Germany, Poland, and in Greece. And I got to travel to all of those places while being very busy, doing research fellowships and double majoring, and actually being a varsity athlete as well. I'll get into that a little bit later. But Allegheny makes all those opportunities very accessible for all of our students. And the whole idea is that we want all of these things to balance out and kind of come together so that, you have a really meaningful and impactful experience. Danielle, do you want to take us to the next slide? So I guess this is where I'll talk about maybe kind of what life is like on campus. The #1 word I use to describe the energy and the environment on campus is engaged. So as a student, I was a varsity athlete. I was recruited to play tennis here. I was a part of chess club, ping pong club. I was in Greek life, and also a member of the varsity tennis team. In addition to doing all the other things that I did while I was a student on campus, this is a place where a lot of things are happening, and students, fellow students, are just going to kind of pull you into conversations, pull you into events. And I think that energy of like, let's go out and do something, let's go out and engage, is very dominant on campus. So we had 2 new sports teams come in the past year. Women's field hockey and men's lacrosse are 2 recent additions to our athletics. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it back over to Danielle.
Awesome, thank you. So what Derek was talking about was kind of the Allegheny experience for many of our students, but what does that mean in the long run? Well, of our graduating class, about 60% will go straight into the workforce. Of that group of students, about 95% are hired within the first 6 months of graduation. The thing I think Allegheny does very, very well for their students is make sure that they're not only learning and becoming very well educated, but they're also preparing them for the real world. So they're making sure that you have the key skills you need to land those type of jobs. So everything from leadership skills to writing skills to public speaking skills, they're going to make sure that you can do a variety of different jobs throughout your career and that you have the confidence to take on those challenges. What about the other students, you might ask? Well, 30% will go into a graduate or professional school program. And the thing that Derek talked about, our senior comp, really helps prepare students to enter that second level of education. They really make sure that when you get to graduate school and you start doing research, you already have a leg up on the competition because you know how to do research, you've done research before, and you also know how to manage a more rigorous curriculum and really balance your time. If you are thinking about studying medicine or law, just kind of a fun fact out there, our medical and law school rates are double the national average. And again, I think it truly is just the support our students get at Allegheny, but also the really unique and very individualized experiences that they just get to kind of take on throughout their 4 years here. The other students, about 10%, will go directly into a paid nonprofit. So what that means is they are going to be doing service and being paid for it. So for example, some of our real big partners are the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, Teach for America. Of small schools, we are in the top 10% for providing Peace Corps volunteers. My intern from last year who just graduated entered AmeriCorps and is very, very excited to give back. So the thing I think Allegheny spends a lot of time making sure their students have a plan. So you're not just going to graduate and think what's next. By your senior year, you're going to have an idea of what pathway you want to go down and how you're going to accomplish that. So if you like the sound of all of this and you're thinking maybe Allegheny might be the school for me, well, we'd love to have you apply. To apply at Allegheny, we utilize the Common App, the Coalition app, and an Allegheny specific app. And we don't have a preference on what you use. So whatever you are comfortable with, we are happy with. Of course, there is no application fee for Allegheny, so it is free to apply. After that, we are asking that our students submit a high school transcript, a guidance counselor or college counselor recommendation, a school report, a teacher recommendation, and a personal essay. When it comes to test scores, Allegheny is a test optional institution, and we have been test optional since 2016. So what that means is our entire application process, our scholarship process is not dependent on test scores. If you were able to take the test and you're very happy with your scores, of course, please send those in. We are happy to take a look at them. However, if you were unable to schedule a test or you just aren't happy with your scores, again, if you don't submit them, it's not going to be a hindrance to you in our process. After you submit all that, you need to think about what kind of decision plan you'll be applying under. At Allegheny, we offer 3 types. We offer early decision round 1 and 2, an early action, and then of course a regular decision. Now, the big thing to make note of is the difference between early decision and early action. Early decision is utilized for students and it is a binding agreement. So this is saying this is your #1 school and you really shouldn't be applying to other schools. Whereas early action is saying I'm very interested in the school, but I'm not ready to make that level of commitment yet. Early action is non-binding. So again, whatever preference you have, whatever you are comfortable with, we are happy with. Once you submit your application at Allegheny, what happens is you will go through our application process and then automatically into our scholarship process. There is no additional forms you need to think about or fill out or anything like that. Our scholarship is a merit-based scholarship. So what we're looking at is what kind of classes you've taken, what level of rigor have you had, but we're also looking at what other people have said about you. We're looking at kind of what activities were you involved in outside the school, in your community, what personal responsibilities have you taken on, do you have any leadership roles, have you done any service? So we're kind of looking at the big picture. So something to keep in mind when you are filling out your application, be detailed, include everything and anything that you think might be very interesting or very important for us to know about you. The other big thing is if you have a coach or you have a mentor or whoever else that you think would write a really great recommendation letter and you really want us to see that, please feel free, submit those. We will take additional materials like letters of recommendation. If you have a current job and you used a really awesome resume for that, you can send that in as well. We're happy to take a look at that. So our merit-based scholarship is called our Trustee Scholarship. That is, like I said, based off your application, and it pretty much can go up to $38,000 this year. And the nice thing about that scholarship is it's locked in. So once you receive your scholarship from us, it's not changing. Any outside scholarships you may be getting, any other scholarships throughout your 4 years at Allegheny, will just kind of stack on top of that. Other than that, we do offer a Kappa scholarship, which is a creative and performing arts scholarship. So if you are thinking of either taking a class in the art, dance, theater, or music departments, you could qualify for this scholarship. There is a separate application process, and that typically opens up around winter time. So start checking our website around December. And basically what that scholarship is set up for is for students that are taking a class. So you don't have to major, you don't have to minor in any of those areas. You just have to take a class. You can only apply to one of the areas, and each one has different application requirements, but pretty straightforward. And if you do need more information about the application or process or the scholarship process, please feel free, let us know. In October, we're actually going to have an application webinar and a scholarship financial aid webinar, and that can be signed up for on our website, which I highly recommend. Speaking of financial aid, to apply for it at Allegheny, you just need your FAFSA, and that is going to open here in just a few days on October 1st. I recommend doing it earlier rather than later. Again, if you need any help with that process, please let us know. So how do you connect with Allegheny? Well, you can connect in quite a few ways this year. First off, if you're interested in applying, you can go to allegheny.edu/apply. If you're interested in one of our virtual visits or virtual sessions, you can go to allegheny.edu/virtual visit. Some things that we are offering in the upcoming weeks are Gator group chats, which are group chats with current students on campus. It's a very open Q&A session, so you can ask every question from what's it like to live in a residence hall to is the food good on campus, and get very, very genuine answers from the students. You will also be able to sign up for one of our info sessions, which is a little bit more in-depth presentation on Allegheny and a breakdown of the curriculum. You can sign up for a one-on-one counselor session, which will allow you to speak directly to your counselor and ask any and all questions you might have. And of course, we are also doing our virtual spotlight series, which happens once a month. It's usually 4 to 5 different webinars throughout a Saturday, typically morning to mid-afternoon. And again, you can sign up for any or as little as you like. Definitely, I recommend checking out our website. If you are in the Meadville area and would like to visit campus, currently we are allowing on in-person visits. We are offering them on a week-by-week basis. So depending on what week you're thinking of, I definitely recommend logging on Monday and checking out the availability for the week. These are Monday through Friday visits. You will either get a tour, a counselor session, or a tour and counselor session. So whatever you need to do while on campus, we will try to make accommodations for you. In addition to that, every Saturday we are offering in-person info sessions, which is again a breakdown of Allegheny and a campus tour. So what will happen is there is a morning session and an afternoon session. And again, if you are thinking about visiting in person, I highly recommend checking out that website early to make sure you can secure a spot. If you have a general Allegheny question, you can always email it to admissions@allegheny.edu. And if you're on Instagram or Twitter, please feel free to follow us at @GoToAllegheny. We give updates on events we'll be at. We also give campus updates, and sometimes we even do giveaways for some Allegheny swag. So if you do have any questions, I'll leave our email addresses up here for just a minute, just so you can write it down. Again, I cover mostly Columbus and Cincinnati, and Derek will cover the rest of Ohio. So if you do have any questions, or you're just looking to connect and want to learn more, please let us know. We're happy to answer them. We're happy to set up different sessions for you, kind of whatever you need. But like I said, I'll leave that up and then open the floor for some Q&A here. All right, so just looking at the questions we've gotten, the first one is going to be for Derek, and it was, can you go a little bit more in depth about your internship experience?
Sure. So when I was at Allegheny, my first summer research internship experience was actually after the end of my sophomore year. And I had just taken a class with a professor that I was really enjoying their class. And it was as easy as just asking them and having a conversation about, why do you do the work that you do? How do I get involved in this? So setting up a research experience here at Allegheny was very, very easy. I knew from my friends and other students on campus that they stay to do research over the summer. So I asked my professor about it, and all of a sudden we were drafting research proposals and sending submissions to the Mellon Humanities Fund. And I think this is a pretty common experience for most Allegheny students that are setting up, say, their first research experience or their first internship. It's a total collaboration with professors, with mentors on campus, and they support you through the whole process. So for me, I applied to the Mellon Humanities Fund, and was funded for an entire summer's worth of research studying memorial ethics, which was, I guess, a pretty hot topic in the past couple years. And I had opportunities to present my research on campus. I had opportunities to take my research to conferences around the country. I went down to Memphis to present there. And at the end, I helped my professor publish a book called Trauma and Transcendence, which was the title. So I think the point is that Allegheny tries to make these really accessible, and pretty much all these experiences just start with a conversation and with you expressing your interest to a professor here on campus.
Awesome. So it looks like we have a question about the food on campus. Is it good? We get this question quite a bit. I will be honest, I really like the food on campus. I will often grab lunch or a late dinner if I'm around, just because it is a variety. There's quite a bit of different options between our two dining halls. So our first dining hall, which is named McKinley, is actually a grab and go type center where they have different food stations and it's kind of made to order as you go. Personally, my favorite is the Italian bar, where you can like pick your noodles, you can pick your sauce, you can really get like breadsticks, you can add whatever you want to your pasta. It's really, really good. And then our second option is Brooks, which is more traditional dining experience where it's a sit down kind of buffet style. I believe they have quite a few options in there, as well as my personal favorite is the ice cream area, where they have hard scoop and soft serve ice cream all the time. And you can eat that for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever you like. But the thing I like is they don't keep the same menu all the time. They do try to change it up. This year, with all our responses to COVID, we actually are doing an ordering app so students can order their food ahead of time and pick it up. So definitely, I think the food's good. I've always had a good experience eating on campus. And if you do want to come to campus, hopefully you can try the food while you're here.
And they're super accommodating too for any students that have like dietary restrictions or anything like that. They'll help you come up with your own meal plan and things like that as well.
All right, so another question we have is, oh, Derek, I think this will be a good one for you. What is it like being a student athlete? Is it hard to balance classes with your sport? What kind of support do you receive from coaches?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. And I think a lot of student athletes come in maybe worrying about this, but I think most times you're better off for this. Being a student athlete, first of all, you're coming in right away with a support system of your fellow teammates and other student athletes. Some sports do come in like a week or two early, just to get set up and to get really well adjusted. I think that, you know, our student athlete body actually has a higher average GPA than just normal students. And this is because there's such an emphasis on how you structure your time. Most of the time, you're going to have a really consistent practice schedule. You're going to have your matches outlined way ahead of time. So it really becomes a way to see how your time is spent. And so that you know, like, you have this spot in this amount of time where you're going to have to study because you have practice from, say, 4 to 6 or something like that. So I think it ends up just being a time management tool, and it brings a lot of clarity to your time here.
That is good. And so, oh, this is a fun question. So what are some of your guys' favorite clubs on campus? So I'll answer first. My personal favorite club on campus is called the Food Rescue Group. And what they do is they go into the dining halls after all the main meals. And if there's any food left over that's been untouched, they'll actually collect it. And they'll send all that uneaten, untouched food down to different food rescue groups in town, like the Women's Shelter, some different family-based organizations. And the thing I like is Allegheny is very, very sustainable. So we're always looking at ways to reduce our waste. And one of the things that that group found in kind of surveying the campus was you're throwing a lot of food waste away. So they repurposed it. They kind of got involved in the community and really set the ball rolling. I believe this is their second or third year as a full-fledged group on our campus. But yeah, I think that's one of my favorite ones on campus just because it is benefiting quite a bit of people, but it's also making sure that we are sticking to being sustainable campus, but also utilizing our resources in the most effective way. So Derek, what was your favorite club?
I gotta say, I really enjoyed my time with the philosophy club. There are a bunch of really cool things that they do on campus. Sometimes they'll host debates. Sometimes they'll invite professors to do lectures. Sometimes they'll invite professors to even do debates. But it's just a really great way to engage with other students just outside of the classroom about things that people are interested in. Oftentimes we will kind of like watch a video or something like that and debate it, or like kind of dissect the concepts and all the things that are happening in there as well. And they also do a great job of bringing speakers to campus too.
Awesome. And Derek, I think this one's more suited for you, but what was it like being a student in a small town?
Being a student in a small town was, I mean, I was from a small town originally, but I really enjoyed being a student in a small town. I feel like I got to know the people in the community rather quickly, especially spending a couple summers here. There are definitely some community ties between the university and the town that we're living in, Meadville. Especially there's like a local game store where you get to see people coming together, professors, Meadville High School students, people from all sorts of walks of life are just coming together. Also for summer research, a lot of the community comes to campus to kind of check out what kind of research students are doing. So there are a lot of strong ties, and we're starting to see even more alums stay in Meadville, which is a really cool thing to have a alumni network here as well.
Yeah. So I didn't go to Allegheny College, but I did go to a university that had a smaller town. And I think one of the best pieces of advice I received going to a small town was you sometimes have to make your own fun. So that might just be a movie night in your residence hall with a couple of friends. I think Allegheny does a really good job of making sure that there's always something happening on campus, even on the weekends. As you saw from the map, not a lot of students can go home on the weekend, so they do quite a bit of programming. I believe tonight there's like 6 or 7 different things happening. I think some are virtual, some are physically distanced on campus. So you don't necessarily need to leave campus to find something to do, but if you are going into Meadville being a smaller town, you have a lot of mom and pop shops. So you get to know the shop owners, you get to know the community when you go down and shop there. They have a bunch of different kind of hangout spots just for community members, for students as well. Some of my favorites are the Kilted Kiln, which is a paint your own pottery place, and the guy that runs it is just, he's very personable. He knows people by name. There's also multiple cupcake shops in town. I personally really love Confections of a Cake Lover. Her husband works on campus, and so you'll often see some of her treats in the dining hall. And then of course the Market House, which is one of the oldest running market houses in the nation. The really cool thing about it is they have like very locally sourced like honey and coffee beans and all that fun stuff, but they have artisans that show up there. And then in the floor above, they do like trivia nights, open mic nights, there's studio spaces. So if you're looking to do art and don't have a space for it, you can keep your projects there. So that's the thing, you just can't expect things to happen for you in a smaller town. You do have to kind of do a little bit of digging and investigating, but as Derek said, the community is really tied into Allegheny, so they do offer quite a bit and make sure that we know what's going on so we can promote it to our students. All right, so it looks like we have just a few more questions. And this one is basically, as a Allegheny student, would you say the transition to college from high school was more challenging or was pretty easy?
For me, it wasn't very hard, especially coming in as a student athlete, especially already coming from a small town. And I think Allegheny does a great job with our kind of smaller class sizes, making things really informal, really easy for you to connect. I think, you know, it might be more of an adjustment if you're coming from a much bigger city, if you're used to, you know, maybe much bigger class sizes, maybe if you're not coming in as a student athlete. But like I said, I think Allegheny does a really great job of just making, you know, connections possible for students. Our class sizes are so small that you really get to know the people in your first couple weeks of class that you're going to be surrounded by and studying with. And I think, you know, there's a lot of early support as well to get on board with all the work that you're going to be doing, because you're going to be doing a ton of reading while you're here. And so we have a bunch of support for that, and like writing consultants, just to make sure that you're adjusting well to the academic rigor too.
Awesome. All right, so the next one is going to be, how have things changed since COVID started? Oh, that's a good question, actually. So I think the biggest change on our campus is honestly the fact that we now have virtual classes. Before COVID kind of hit, it wasn't a very popular option on our campus. We weren't really offering virtual classes or, completely online classes for our students. But when COVID hit, we kind of just all went online. So we got really awesome equipment. We got upgrades for all our faculty members. So they are co-teaching. So they're teaching in person and online. Our students could have opted into coming back on campus, or they could have just stayed at home for the semester, whatever their comfort level was with. I think some other big things are just the physical distancing. So we have made pretty much all our programming, all our events on campus as safe as possible. We are requiring all students to wear masks. We do daily temperature or health checks. We also are doing testing fairly frequently. And probably the other big change is doors are now either enter or exit only. So you do need to pay attention to the signage on campus. But if you do come to campus for an in-person visit, you'll definitely still get a feel for what Allegheny and what the community is like. You'll still have some opportunities to see students walking about. You'll get to interact with faculty members if that is something you want to do. So we're all just kind of adjusting and following the rules. But yeah, I think the biggest change was probably the online classes. All right, so another question is, what is it like in the winter time? So Derek, since you were a student, do you want to talk about surviving the winter in Meadville?
Yeah, not gonna lie, it definitely does snow and it definitely does get cold here in Meadville. But I think there are a lot of opportunities. Well, all year round, Meadville is a great place to get outside, but especially in the winter, my piece of advice is to try to get out there and get involved in some cold weather sports or just have fun. There are plenty of places to go tubing, skiing, snowboarding. There are plenty of places to learn that are really local. There are a bunch of cross-country skiing places as well that are really close to campus. We have another club that Danielle and I didn't mention earlier, but it is absolutely fantastic, is called the Outing Club. And they go on all sorts of adventures every weekend, camping trips, biking trips, backpacking, hiking, whitewater rafting, all sorts of things. And we can, they rent equipment out to students at really, really accessible, reasonable prices. And they also host all sorts of trips as well. So definitely cold, but totally, totally a fun environment to go out and play in.
I would agree. I am not a fan of winter. But the one thing I always tell students, especially if you're not used to like heavy snow, get some good boots that'll last you about 4 years. We heavily salt all our sidewalks just to get, avoid any ice or anything like that. So if it's not a sturdy pair of boots, that the salt will eat through them. So just make sure that you have the right equipment to head outside. The other thing that I always like to talk about is, and it's super cheesy, but they do an informal snowman building contest right around the holidays. And it's always just so much fun to see these like random snow creations just popping up everywhere on campus. So yeah, that's kind of, it's not so bad, but it's also an adjustment if you're not used to like a lot of snow.
And if you're totally not, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
If you're totally not buying it and you're like, I am not going to have any part in the cold, we do have a bunch of great little, like Danielle said earlier, mom and pop local coffee shops downtown that are great to just, set up shop and read a book and have a nice warm cup of coffee or hot chocolate or something like that, really close by, right on campus.
Yeah, those are always good. So our time's almost over. I'm going to end with the question we usually end our panels with, and it's going to be for Derek. And like I said, we are in the colleges that change lives. So how has Allegheny changed your life?
Well, Allegheny totally woke me up in a lot of different ways. When I was first looking at college and thinking about the college process, I was really just thinking about where I could go to play tennis, where I could go to, just have like a student athlete experience. But Allegheny turned me on to so much more. I never thought I would travel all over the world. I never thought I would do the research that I got to do, help professors write books, present at conferences, things like that. And it really just inspired me to love learning. And now I kind of consider myself sort of a lifelong learner, and I didn't think of myself that way before my time at Allegheny.
Awesome. So that kind of concludes our session for today. Like I said, if you have any questions or are looking to connect further, please visit our website. It's alleghenycollege.edu. We're happy to help you, whether it's through the application process, whether it's just answering some of your questions. But we are here. We are ready to help you. Just let us know what you guys need. And thank you for your time.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. When you close this window, there's going to be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you might have. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted. So again, be sure to sign up for additional sessions at oacac.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all the other session recordings at that same website, oacac.org. And that wraps it up for tonight. Thank you all so much.